Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Divergent Comics podcast. I am Gary. Uh, I don't have anything witty to say today. It's, it's just one of those days, I guess. But we're back again with another comic creator interview. This was going to be pretty fun. I was telling them off camera that our paths kind of cross in an interesting way. For those of you who may not be familiar, um, Blur Without Fear, JP, and what is considered the council now, or the Black Comics Authority, is what I believe they're going by too. Had a bunch of people on to talk about the latest uh, situation, which is called DC So White, and on there they had Captain Diesel, who has a comic book series called Reaper. I read the first issue and I really enjoyed it. I plan on getting issue two. And then they also had Mark on here. And I was like, interesting. Like, he's another guy that has comics. That's pretty cool. And then it's so funny because, like, literally, I think a month after that, he started promoting his newest book, which we're going to talk about, Scion 2. And I was like, oh, yeah. And in that whole process with us talking about DC So White and all that, one of the main things we talk about is supporting Black independent creators, because if we're not getting it from Marvel and DC, we have people out here making comics that are doing that. So, Mark, thank you so much for taking the time out your day to come on here and allow me just to kind of pick your brain about your book. So, before we get started, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you for asking how I'm doing. And yeah, no,
Hmm.
we're doing well. It's been a bit of a sprint recently, just because we are in launch right now for our Kickstarter currently for Scion issue 2, like we had just mentioned. So it's been a lot of work, a lot of scheduling. But it's been a good type of busy. I've been able to
Hmm.
meet with good folks like yourself to kind of talk about the book and just to kind of get to just introduce myself to your community. So I really appreciate you for having me on today, so that way I can tell them about Scion. So I just want to thank you for that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm a big fan of Blur Without Fear. JP has earned my fandom as well, just by the wealth of knowledge he has. And so, anyone that's like connected to them in any way where I can see that they're doing not only just like good work, but also positive work, I have to show support for that. So, it was a no brainer to add you on here. And then, although I haven't read Scion 1 yet, I did back the Kickstarter, and I do have the physical copies set uh, in my pledge. So I plan on getting both Scion 1 and Scion 2 physical. I'm excited for that. Uh, I read the campaign and I read some of like the background of it, and I'm like, okay, this might be up my alley. And so we're going to
Awesome,
dive into that
awesome.
for sure, because I think what you're writing is definitely something I'm really, really interested in.
Thank you. That means a lot. That's honestly one of the best things you can possibly hear,
Hmm.
especially as a new writer. So I really appreciate that. And honestly, it feels like I bet to the people in my personal life, it might feel like a little bit of it might seem like a little bit out of left field, especially because I did
Hmm.
not go to school for writing. I went to school for engineering. But
Uh,
it was kind of like I finished the degree and it was like, what's next, right?
mhm.
And I kind of landed on Scion after like a lifetime of being a lifetime nerd, having like a longing for comics as a kid, because I lived in like a rural area and kind of not
Yeah.
really getting my hands on them until I was older, right? Much later in my life.
Yeah.
It really, it's always had a humongous impact on me. It's always been something that I would say has been like at the forefront of my personality in my life ever since I was a small kid. And to be able to add um, my own input to the medium is really incredible. And to be able to do it with Scion is great. For anybody who doesn't know, this is the book in question that we're talking about. This is issue 1. Issue 2 is currently in launch on Kickstarter, so we're in the process of getting that one made. But in a couple months, that will be physical as well in my
Hmm.
hands, which I'm really excited about. But this is Scion. It is a supernatural thriller set on a college campus. Follows this young criminology major, John, who's caught in a conspiracy. There's some strange people on campus that are offering charity, and he is the only person skeptical. Think Sherlock Holmes, but with like some supernatural themes in the background. It's inspired by my time as a student at Jackson State in Jackson, Mississippi, because that's my alma mater.
That makes more sense now.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
That
So,
makes more
yeah.
sense.
Right. So it's kind of inspired by that. It's inspired by obviously by my time as a student at Jackson State, but also a love for comics, but also a love for anime and manga. When I was
Hmm.
younger, one of my favorite. Well, I would say my favorite anime still to this day. It's not. I don't think it's the best, but it's still my favorite. Is definitely Yu Yu Hakusho. And
Mm.
when I was younger, I used to watch like anime with my mom because like Toonami was like lifeblood back then for that type of content. My
It
mom would
was.
definitely poke her head in, especially whenever Sailor Moon was about to come on, right? So my mom would poke her head in and say, and she wants to make sure, like, okay, let's make sure Goku's not teaching this boy nothing crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, he's training hard. Okay, Goku, I'll let you have the fights. I'll let you have the fights if you tell him to train real hard, right? But Yusuke was on a different, like me and my mom both loved Yusuke because like we loved to see him like bend back towards good, right? Like the rough
Mm.
boy who decided to like kind of get his life together.
Right.
My mom loved Tommy from Power Rangers for the same reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny that they
That's a
both
good one
wear
too.
green. Funny that they both
Right.
wear green. But my mom would tell me, like spirit world's real, baby. Like, cause we're Creole. She's like, we have
Mm.
spirit world. Like, we have spirit world at home. And I was
Yeah.
like, really? She's like, yeah. Like, we live in Louisiana. Like, it's in our backyard. And I wanted to tell a story kind of from like that Southern Gothic perspective. Like, what would like a Southern Gothic spirit detective look like? Like a spirit
Mm.
detective who has to like walk the crossroads. What would
Right.
that look like? And like that's where we got John. And like it's essentially a marriage of all of these influences in my life, where I went to school personally, where I grew up, and then just where my interests have kind of aligned. It's kind of all naturally settled into like the story that we've got going. So it feels good to be here, especially because I get to do this with Che, the artist for Uchenna Ugbor. For yeah, Che's artwork's incredible. The fact that I met
Absolutely
him,
phenomenal.
yeah, like the fact that I met him on like just a random whim, also like all of this just feels very. It could have not happened at any
Mm.
moment, and the fact that it did, it means a lot to me, and I'm really, really proud to be out here getting to call myself a comic book creator. So it feels great to get to come out here for another edition, so that way we can keep telling the story.
I love that. I want to dive deeper into that because I have some questions. But before we jump into you and your story, let's have some fun first.
Okay.
So I started a segment lat 2 episodes ago called Would You Rather?
Okay.
And so I have 3 questions and I want to know would you rather, okay?
Okay. Okay.
First one, would you rather give the perfect gift every time or always receive exactly what you wanted?
So like this is very. It's like, do I want to? You know what? I'm going to say give the perfect gift because sometimes in life you
Mm,
need to not get what you want or exactly what you want, right? Like maybe someone
yeah,
else's vision can add in something else that you couldn't have fathomed. Because like if at that point the best you're going to get is what you can imagine. Sometimes you need to
right.
be collaborative and just like. So I think that while it would be very tempting and nice to say, but like every time.
Yeah.
I just know. I just put my order in at the restaurant. It always comes back right. They always know no veggie. Like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It could be a game changer for a person with ADHD like myself.
That is
But
true, yeah.
I think that might be what life is though. So I think a better thing in life would be maybe because like we don't know what this gift looks like.
Hmm.
Maybe I gain the intuition to learn my friends so well that now I'm able to give them the best gift. That might better our friendship.
That
That
is
might be
true.
something that I might need. So I will go with that. I'd rather be able to give the best gift every time.
I love how you analyze that. You like if you never told us that you were an engineer, that answer alone told us that you were an engineer because you dissected that so perfectly, like only an engineer would. I love it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So, next question:
yes, yes.
would you rather have unlimited vacation days or a guaranteed raise every year?
What's the guarantee? What's the guarantee? Can I have a guarantee above 1%? Because like people love to do like the, hey bro, we gave you the 1%.
Whoops.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like 2.5, I'll take that. 2.5 is crazy. That means I might actually beat inflation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know though. Unlimited. Hey,
Unlimited
bro,
vacation is
I
tempting.
can't make it for December, bro. You know, Christmas. My mama, she really needs me back home, bro. I gotta just be. You know how she is, bro. I need the
Mm.
whole month. Oh, that's hard. That's
Right?
hard. If I could if I could negotiate my terms and get a guaranteed 2.5, like I could make sure it's above 1% each year guaranteed, then I'd probably
Okay.
go for that. That being said, though, ooh, the PTO sounds important, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the guaranteed. I'm gonna go for
That
that.
that's not a bad decision, honestly. If I were to choose, I also would also choose the guaranteed because I mean, end of the day, like if you make enough money, you can afford to like do whatever you want sometimes. Like, you don't have to
I
necessarily
agree.
have that PTO. So,
I agree. I agree.
all right, last one. This is for the comic nerd in all of us. Would you rather have telekinesis or telepathy?
Okay. Okay. So I'm going with telekinesis because that's what child Mark would want. I'm
Mm,
feeling him tugging at my arm, going, "Mister, Mister, you know the right answer." Like,
yeah.
I want to like as an adult, it's like telepathy is a lot more. Yeah, I can do a lot more in silence with that.
Hmm.
Like I think someone like Etienne from the Power Fantasy is a lot scarier than somebody like
Mm,
Siler from Heroes.
that is true. Yeah.
That being said, I don't know. I think I'm definitely still go with telekinesis. You can do a lot with it. I'd be like Michael B. Jordan in Chronicle, bro. I'd be flying around. Like I'd be doing all the like I've thought of every single use case of how to
Hmm.
turn telekinesis into some other superpower. So yeah, I'm just gonna go with that one for sure. I've thought about you can give yourself super strength, you can give yourself super durability, you can give yourself flight. Like you just
Dang.
gotta think hard enough. You just gotta think hard enough. You gotta make a barrier of air around you. You
Yeah.
gotta make like,
You know,
that's how you
that's
get the
actually
durability.
that's really good. I didn't even think about that.
Then you got the super strength because now you just got to live with your thoughts. Like, oh, I'm playing the punch game at B Dubs. They don't need to know it's not coming from the body, bro. They don't need to. He barely twists his hips. How do you get a
Mm,
900? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, he's just really
that's smart.
strong. That's what I'll be doing. And then like obviously Michael B. Jordan threw everybody on to like in Chronicle. You got to lift right below your feet. If you just
Yeah.
keep doing bursts of air underneath, now you can just walk on air.
Yeah.
Which like I still think that white boy killed him because of that. I'm gonna be honest. I think he got jealous that he was good at using his powers on top of being the like he. It was like, oh, you're not supposed to get powers. You're popular. That's
Yeah.
for sure. How at least my opinion. My opinion.
That's fair.
That's
Yeah.
that's that's a tangent. But yeah, telekinesis. Final answer for show. Although you psychics look super cool with your telepathy. I can't pretend. Y'all get to like
Yeah.
smoke cigarettes behind like the back of the school and like spy on people. They're like that. It's very X Men. It's very X Men.
That's exactly what I thought of too, for sure. I love it. Those are some good answers. I like that. So you kind of already dove into this a little bit, but I want you to elaborate a little bit more on like what was the catalyst that really made you say, you know what, I want to make comic books.
So I think it really came down to I think an unfulfillment after graduation.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated from Jackson State. It was a very that was a very big moment in my life. I dropped out twice before I'd finished. It wasn't because of grades. It was because I got sick at one point, and then when I went back, it became a financial issue. It was, do we have enough money to pay for how much school I need for how many quality points I need to graduate? It became like very, can I afford to pad my schedule with extra classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it became a question of do I just admit defeat for right now and go someplace else? And that's effectively what I did. I dropped out again, packed up all my stuff from LSU and Baton Rouge, went back home, took about 6 or 8 months off, and then I moved to Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal was just to kind of get my bearings straight. But once I got there, I saw that Jackson State was there, and I was like, "Wait, no, Jackson State's like I know from my mom went to Dillard. She was a Dillard grad. My grandmother went to Gramblin's. Like I know the
Okay.
rough HBCU system in the South. I was like, Jackson State's a pretty big HBCU.
Mm-hmm.
Like definitely up there with like at least like an A&M or like a FAMU. Like they're definitely like
Mm-hmm.
they're hooping. They're hooping. It's
They are
not
up
Dillard.
there.
It's not
Yeah.
Dillard where you got like only like a couple. Like, and that's no diss to Dillard. My mom went to Dillard. It's just that
Yeah.
they are they're a small
Mm-hmm.
university. And they're a small liberal arts college type deal.
Yeah.
Jackson State offered something that was it was something I could sink my teeth into as far as departments were concerned, because it's really hard to find an engineering program sometimes at an HBCU because we just don't necessarily have enough funding for a full lab.
That is true. Yeah.
And once we do get a full lab, you have to keep it updated. But Jackson State had just built the CSET building, which is actually the inspiration for the STIA building in Scion.
Mm.
It's this really big multidisciplinary like kind of like building where you have a bunch of people from a bunch of different majors kind of all collaborating because it's like the best building on campus and everybody wants those classrooms. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So really, really nice labs. Like they had an earthquake lab, which I thought was super cool. Like I got to do a bunch of really dope stuff there,
Yeah.
and like I
It
had
sounds
free
fun.
reign. yeah, it was awesome. Like I had free reign, unlike in Baton Rouge. Like they were very like, if you don't, what are you doing in here? Get out of here. They were very. You had to like you had to work for somebody to really
Yeah,
have lab access in Baton Rouge. And like
makes sense.
I'd gotten to that point, but it's still very just like then you're doing somebody else's research, and it's like
Yeah, and it's
that's
not as
annoying.
enjoyable because it's not something
And
that you're passionate about.
then there's ethical concerns too. You're like young, you don't really know what you're doing yet. You don't know if like this research is like bad or not. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
You could be in a Dwayne McDuffie type situation where you realize that like you participate on something that wasn't that kosher, right?
right,
And
right.
that's so. I guess to just slightly dive in, that's the research I did was in the biochemical lab at LSU, and that's how I actually came in contact because it was cancer research. That's how I found out about Henrietta Lacks. I found out about Miss Henrietta holding her cells in my hand for the first time.
Oh
That
wow.
was dark to have to go through alone. The only black person in the lab. Like nobody else gets that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They only care that it's an immortalized cell line. They don't care that this was I'm holding Miss Henrietta in my hands right now.
that is
That's
insane.
that's like you know what I mean. And like I'm
Yeah,
19. I'm 19, bro. You know what I mean? I'm like you want to think about like the good you could possibly do by having this as like a researching tool, like this ever proliferating cell line that you can continue to do research towards. But then I think
right.
about the brutalization of the black body and how they're now doing it
Mm-hmm.
in micro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, all of that is in this book, like for sure. And I think that when I got done with the degree, after I'd finally gotten some closure, some time distance away from LSU because I did not have a good time
Mm-hmm.
there, I definitely got to find myself and gain my confidence back at Jackson State. I wanted to put that in a book. I wanted other people to know how much this school saved me and how much like
Mm-hmm.
the HBCU system saved me and taught me how to become an engineer. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that if I could make someone feel like that just in a little bit, just a little bit of a thump to their chest, maybe that could be something. And it was rough at first. I didn't really know how to write that well. I knew what I wanted the vision for the story to be. I had a fleshed out like story Bible and whatnot.
Okay.
But as far as like a script that looked decent, come on, man. I was an engineer. Those papers are terribly dry. I know how to write technical writing, right?
That is two different sides of the brain right there.
There are for the start of every sentence. No, sir, you can't do that here.
No.
Get out. Get to the back of the class, sir. And like that was, I told myself I was going to come outside and do this. I wanted it to be serious about it. I wanted to
Yeah.
respect the other people who are doing this with their full everything in it. There is no backing out at any moment. I wanted it to be that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, um, Phoenix helped facilitate that. I moved here for my first job after college, and it's the biggest city I've ever lived in, outside of
Mm.
like me growing up with like my dad for summers in Dallas when I was a kid.
Okay.
Um, but like you're a kid with your dad for the summers. This was like me actually getting to have like full access to a city this large and its resources. And like that
Mm-hmm.
might not seem like a lot to some people, but to a person from the South, it is a very big, drastic change to be able to just drive to a storefront, say, "Hey, I need this, get it, and go home," and
Yeah.
to only maybe go 30 miles from your house. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm from a place where food deserts are everywhere,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so it
Very
was
familiar with that too.
yeah. The food desert crisis is
Insane.
it's insane. It's insane. And I got the opportunity to finally fall in love with comics as a grown adult here, as something that like I got to have my first like pull list, like I got to have my first box at the
Nice.
store, all of that stuff. And like it was me just kind of I was trying to read everything. Like if it was just me wanting to know what can a comic book be. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I was reading so much, and then at the time, what like the book that really made me lock in and think like maybe because it was right as I was graduating. It was like maybe
Okay.
like the week I was graduating, or maybe like a week before. House and Powers of 10 was coming out. Jonathan Hickman, X-Men, Krakoa era start, right? And
That
you know me, engineer those data pages. I know everybody don't like. I know
you
people
was
don't like the
geeking
data
out.
pages. Oh, I was those data. Come on, I didn't know we could put those in a comic book. I can give you
Yeah.
some of that. I can get in the weeds and give you the. I can do that. I was like, man, I didn't know a comic book could be this. I didn't know we could put this type of brain towards it. And
Yeah.
I just started reading more and more. Those books keep coming out. I'm just picking them up volume by volume. I'm getting to kind of see how they're building out a universe there. Then on top of that, you give it about a year or so. Now we got Milestone's coming back. Right, we got
Mm-hmm.
Milestone Returns. That's like firmly once I'm in Phoenix. Like got that in my pull list. I have every single issue in the long box right behind me. Um,
Nice.
it was a moment. I got to go in. I was looking at I was like, man, did that new book come out? No, man, it got delayed by a week. Oh man, all right, I'll be back next week. I was there. I wanted the story, man. And I was a part of the action. I got to kind of be a part of the week to week water cooler type aspect of this online too, which was
Mm-hmm.
super cool. And like after being a part of all of that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do a signing. Like I want to go like meet a creator. Like I want to go
Right.
say because like they have those here. I was like, well, that's crazy. What do you mean you can just go to a comic book shop and like they have creators here that you can just like shake their hand?
Yeah.
Like they're real. That
Mm-hmm.
they don't
That's
come. They don't. They're not real around my way. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, they don't come around where I'm from. And I remember I met Mitch Garrett's.
Mm.
He known collaborator with Tom King, got to do Mr. Miracle. I found him specifically Riddler One Bad Day. That was the one shot
Okay.
that he was doing a signing for. And if you've ever seen Mitch's style, the watercolors he uses is absolutely incredible. Like he's definitely
Mm-hmm.
a S tier artist in my opinion, as far as like how his art speaks to me.
Right.
And I got to go and meet him, shake his hand, and I kind of just asked him. After I was in that spot where I was kind of coordinating everything and kind of it was getting real, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we're making logos, we're putting in info to try and get the LLC started. It's about to become something we're jumping into, right? And I asked him just flat out. I was like, "What do I need to do if I want to be you?" And he was like, "Make a comic." I was
Mm.
like, "Is that easy?" He's like,
Like people
"Yeah."
could just do that.
Like literally, I was like, would you? I don't know. I was like, would you take me seriously? Like that was like my question. I was like, would you
Mm.
actually take me seriously if I did this exterior to like what is the perceived engine that is the big two? If I do this exterior to the beast, will it take me seriously? And he was like, if you take it seriously,
Oh,
and I was
that's
like, I can do that. No, I can do that. I know how to be a tryhard. I can definitely do that. Like I have no life way less consequential things than this. I was on Facebook 2016, baby. I fought way
oh.
lesser battles than this. So,
You was in the trenches.
oh yes, with people I know and love, and I still fought the fight, and that's why I do it now. And Mitch really put a battery in my back. He really set me off on this path. I really kind of kept at it. I would kind of peek my head in and kind of be like, "Hey, man, I'm doing it." Like I would like see it from time to time. Like I see it at like Fan Fusion, and I could go to like a panel and be like, "I don't know if you remember me, but I actually have a business card now because I'm doing this." And he's like, "Oh, okay, hell yeah, man." Follows me
Nice.
back. I'm like, "Oh crap, okay, cool." Then once we get the Kickstarter up and running for the first issue, like he backs, which is
Oh
super
wow.
cool. Yeah, super cool. Like I remember it was like the first moment, like I remember like it being like super real. Like me being like, okay, like
Yeah.
maybe like this is more than just me begging my friends to help with my dream, right?
Yeah.
Begging my mama to tell her church friends, hey, mom, I promise it's not that. It's not that. It's not those types of spirits. I promise.
Right.
And like it was slowly building. Che was a big piece of this. If I hadn't have met him during a very low point in my life before I went back to school, when I was pretty much pursuing esports full time, while I was in that little 6 to 8 month interim, I would have never met him because he did artwork for the esports org that I was a part of. So getting to like, I only know him because of that networking, which is kind of crazy because like I'm pretty sure like the org's pretty defunct at this point. Like it feels like as far as we're concerned, as far as our story is concerned, it definitely feels like it was there for us to find one another. And like
Okay.
the fact that we've continued past that, we've made this into like a full story and something that we're both kind of putting our name on. It feels incredible. I can't pretend because I came to this city an engineer who was just working the first job he got after school and trying to like, figure out what like life after college looks like. And
Right.
like what I realized was that I wouldn't have any of this in my life if I had not gone to Jackson. If I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't have decided, because that was the one big thing for me, man. It still gets on my nerves to this day. Like the SIP deserves it all, bro. Mississippi deserves everything. I'm a state over in Louisiana. We have
Mm-hmm.
48th in education. Georgia's got 49th, and usually most years we're fighting to say, oh, thank God we're not Mississippi.
Right.
Why? Why do we
Yeah.
do that to our brother and sister that's right next to us? They're fighting a fight we don't know about. All right. I
Hmm.
was there when they took the Confederate flag off of the flag and replaced it with the Stennis flag. I was there for that.
Wow.
Um, that was right as COVID was happening. I'm
Hmm.
gonna be honest. It's very important that we don't decide to turn a blind eye to the evil happening beside us because we don't relate to it.
Yep.
And I do think that what moving to the SIP, they took me in. I was a 2-time dropout, didn't think I could do nothing. And they told me the second I got on campus at Jackson State, keep your head up because you're home now. That's the
Hmm.
first thing I heard from my advisor. I never got that type of treatment at LSU. And I think that that's what really drove me forward was that, you know, I hadn't seen an HBCU comic book. I'm sure it's
Hmm.
out there. I'm sure it's out
I
there.
haven't seen one either.
Yeah, I'm sure it's out there. But there's a lot of books. But like you said, I haven't seen one. I haven't seen it, so I wanted to make it. And I was
Hmm.
like, if we have a different world, we can have Scion. And
Yeah.
like that's where I think a lot of it came from was just a want to kind of show people what this beautiful life I had on campus was and how it kind of nurtured me into somebody that could be like a superhero in my daily life.
I love that. I, I think the thing that I love the most about your backstory and everything that kind of led you to finally making this comic is the overwhelming sense of community that birthed this story. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize is how important it is to have community. I grew up in Georgia, literally not too
So
far. I know
you know.
exactly. Yeah. And like you said, like we literally had a conversation. Oh, at least we're not at Mississippi. Like we're never the 50th state in education. But I mean, it's things like that that like kind of shapes you as you grow older and you start to realize like why am I like downplaying and like just missing someone else who's struggling in a different way. You know, because in Georgia, we struggle for a whole lot of different reasons. Poverty is really rampant. But hey, at least we're not 50th in education, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
come on now.
We're exactly we're willing to pull a specific type of wool over our eyes so that way we don't have to, because at least we got it and they don't, and like
Yeah.
that feels so. It took me moving to, because my mom was freaked out when I told her I was moving to Mississippi. Boy, what you mean you moving to Mississippi? Are you, oh, don't you know what they do to black folks in Mississippi? I was like, Mama, we from Louisiana. Like what?
It's not much different.
It's the interstate is what
Right.
like and like it was really like it really dispelled the spells, if you will. It dispelled the illusion magic in my brain. I was able to kind of understand, first of all, Mississippi's got swag, bro. The sip has
Hmm.
got swag. All right, there's a type of swag in Mississippi that you don't really find anywhere else in the South, and it's
That is true.
because they wear that 50th in the state, I mean in the nation badge with honor, because they know it doesn't define them. They know that
Hmm.
there's a lot of things that they're having to fight, a lot of generational curses they're having to break, and they're willing
Yep.
to break these chains and do it with their chest out, because this might just be some country ish. Shouts out to
Hmm.
big crit. I don't know if we can cuss, but shouts out to big crit. You know what I mean? And like
Right.
that's the type of vibe we're talking about. Like we need folks who are proud about this area to kind of remind everybody that you're not just going to use us to be your boogeyman. All right,
Hmm.
because that's one thing I also realized moving out here to Phoenix. All right. California's right there, and Cali's cool. Cali's cool. Cali just as racist as everybody else, bro. I'm gonna be
Yep.
honest. Especially considering that there's not enough black people there to create a frequency
Yep.
of black sorry proximity to blackness for other
Yep.
races there. And
Yep.
like outside the Bay Area, it's really hard. Even in
Mhm.
SoCal, like in LA,
Yeah.
if you're outside of
It's
Inglewood,
really
it's
hard
really
there.
hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard. There's, it's an enclave, and it shouldn't have to be
Hmm.
for how many people are out there.
Right.
And I kind of realized that isolation is a different type of racism.
Hmm.
I'm used to proximity to whiteness racism. That's different. I'm used to, they
Yeah.
want to make me their butler, their house servant,
Yeah.
that type of deal, right? Out here, they want to kick you out of the city limits.
Yep.
They don't want to look at you. It's a complete. They don't want to interact with you. It's a
Hmm.
completely different type of racism. And it was a want to kind of not have the South be this place that's constantly looked at like that. Also, y'all are gonna have to wear y'all have to wear y'all's crimes on y'all's chin, just like everybody else, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And it's not to sit here and pretend that there aren't plenty of people historically have moved to areas like California, like the Northeast, and had a much better life, like the Midwest, a much better life, the Great Migration, things like that. Think
Yeah.
after Katrina,
Yep.
but I don't want to sit here and pretend. Like, I do think that, like, when I was younger, I was a bit naive to think that, like, it's that easy. You just move out the
Yeah.
South and suddenly everybody's nice to you. That's not true. It's a
No.
different type of "we don't want you here."
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a lot of angles to that we get to present in Scion. We get to
Mm-hmm.
present the welcome you in and then stab you in the back. We get to
Mm-hmm.
present the stay about arm's length away if you want to be
Mm-hmm.
here. We did
Yeah.
that. We do that. Like, we want to showcase how the world is interacting with Black pride and power.
Uh,
And we really wanted to hammer that in on issue one. When you start out with the group, they're on campus, they're
mm-hmm.
safe, right? The campus gets to be that alma mater. It gets to be that nourishing mother that gets to protect them away from the outside world. But the second that they leave and they go to downtown, they're suddenly flooded with the realities that wait for them outside of the campus. And that's what we're building ourselves up to fight against once we leave. And, like, right
Mm-hmm.
now, it's UA Academy. We just need to try and figure out how to go plus ultra. But there's a lot of people that would love to see this institution burn, and we have to protect it so that way we can continue to build the next generation of heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's been great to get to just put that someplace, because I had all of those feelings as we were kind of coming into the beginning of this, and to be able to
Okay.
put that down on paper and for it to still kind of hit, like,
Yeah.
especially in issue one, like, a lot of these major scenes we were able to keep from the original draft. Obviously we had to
Nice.
write through lines and everything, make it seem more feasible, but we
Mm-hmm.
didn't want it to, it feels good for the heavy moments that we wanted to actually, they actually do make sense together. It's not just me kind of putting a bunch of cool moments together, like, oh yeah, bro, that was, oh man, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's awesome. Vibe pieces are a thing, but I
Right.
wanted this to be more than a vibe, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I love that because barely knowing you, but seeing how passionate you are about just the Black experience and Black people in general, just from this short conversation, makes me even more excited to read Scion and Scion 2, because the fact I know that it's going to not only be an incredibly dope story, but it's going to give me something tangible and something substantive that I can actually like latch onto. And it's things like that that I think elevate stories and makes them more than just an entertaining piece, but makes them iconic. And I think that's I wouldn't say borderline, but kind of like going to where Scion is headed, just based off of what you've been telling me and what I've seen so far. So I'm really excited. I don't even know what else to really say about it, but I do want to ask you some more questions about Scion, because I have really one or two questions specifically. One specifically about the main character, John Lewis.
Yes.
Where did his character kind of come from? Where did that birth come from?
So that is a great question, because why would I decide to name my protagonist after a civil rights leader, right? Well, John is actually a real person. I actually know John Lewis in real life.
Okay.
He was very fortunate to let me use his likeness for this book.
Oh,
And there are
nice.
actually a lot of people in this book that I know in real life. Willie is a real person. Vincent is a real person. They let me use their likenesses for this book because they were people who really helped me find my way when I was in undergrad. And I knew that there was a story to be told, especially around John, in my opinion. Like, John is kind of like this international man of mystery around the LSU kind of Baton Rouge area. If you're in Southern Louisiana, you definitely probably know John, especially if you're in the political space. Like, if you were in like the Black politics sphere, you definitely probably know him from there.
Mhm.
And John always gave like this really nice breath of fresh air energy. He always was willing to kind of look at a room and figure out how to talk to it. He wasn't trying to assert his own opinion. He was just trying to figure out, what does the room need. And I figured that, like, that's what you can build a hero, you can build a story around a person like
That is
this,
true.
right?
Yeah.
And what was really cool about John was that he's from Atlanta. So
Okay.
he did junior representatives when he was younger. He got to meet Representative Lewis when he was in junior representatives. And one of the things that he
Wow.
told me that he did as a joke, when he walked up to him, he was like, "Hi, Representative. I'm John R. Lewis, representative from Atlanta." And he was like, "No." I'm John, right? It was like this whole like
That is so
Spider-Man
so
moment.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it was like he's all his. If you find him on pretty much anywhere, his username is probably a common username, right? It's because like his name's pretty common. The name John Lewis is probably pretty common, but it's a name that moved mountains, and
Hmm.
there's a weight to it. There's a weight to a name like that when you walk in the shadow of someone who's done such great things with your name. Maybe
Hmm.
you walk with a different weight to each step.
Yeah.
Maybe you might have a Drake type person trying to say you trying to free the slaves, right? People might call you a Huey Freeman, but I think that you maybe that's your burden to bear, and you understand
Hmm.
that like it's not like jokes, bro. I gotta love my life and figure out what type
Yeah.
of like man I want to be, and um, it was a burden, a responsibility with this character to kind of transform and find that story. In the first, not to spoil, but in the first issue, John's kind of wrestling with trying to figure out if he wants to join law enforcement, if he wants to kind of pursue this dream as like a special agent, right? Because he's pretty much getting scouted by the FBI,
Hmm.
and it's this idea of can I be a good man with a good job, right? Like you know how it is in our community with the idea of a good job. If it pays a pension or an annuity for your retirement, or if it has good benefits, that's a good job.
Yep.
Things like working at a prison,
Yeah.
working for the state, whether it be as like a civil servant, whether it be the
Hmm.
military. Military is a classic
Military
example of
is a
that.
classic. Yep.
You can go see. My grandma used to say probably my gram genuinely believed that the only way a black man could see the world was if he joined the military. Like that's
Hmm.
just how it was back during her time. Because she was a depression baby. So
That makes sense.
yeah. And like and all of her male children joined the military. So it was like,
Hmm.
baby, I want you
It
to go see
was.
the world. You can probably do it in the military, and it's like
Yeah.
very bittersweet, very heartbreaking, but a very real reality of what life looked like back then. And
Hmm.
we wanted to kind of put that into a book. What does that weight look like now? Now that we understand that this is probably firmly working against our collective self-interest as a community.
Hmm.
Um, it's probably not. And it's probably a question we have to ask ourselves while we're still young in school, impressionable, because they're doing these recruitment days. They're telling you they got these salaries for you. They can give you these big things. Oh, you can go be Mr. Big Man. Um, what does that look like 10 years from now? How many skeletons are in the closet, and how many things do I have to kind of worry about? And like, is it possible to be a part of the system and actually do good? Like,
Hmm.
is it actually achievable, or am I kind of just like playing in a sandbox, like pretending? um there's a lot of questions to it. And I think that because John has to walk in the shadow of people who have already wrestled with these questions in different ways, it's up to him to kind of understand his own personal responsibility of it in it all, and
Yeah.
also walk his own path forward. So it's a very, very good, very, very good question. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Not a problem. It's funny because like all this information that I've been finding out about this story has me more intrigued. But the thing that caught my attention was the fact that it was a gothic crime thriller. Like that's all I was. That's all I was coming for. I am a huge true crime fan. I listen to true crime podcasts all the time, um, and I read crime books. I watch crime shows all the time. I love this type of like understanding crime in various different ways and how people interpret it. And so that was like, okay, that's gonna get me. That's gonna get me in. But then, like, hearing more about you as a writer, hearing more about this character of John Lewis, hearing about the backstory of like where it came from, all this, I'm just like, this is going to be definitely much more than just a gothic crime thriller. This sounds very deep, but not too grounded. Would you agree that it's not too grounded?
I would definitely agree. We're leading off with a very grounded foot just because of the genre. We want to do
Right.
Southern Gothic. We want to do Southern Gothic justice. We want to kind of have it tread that Eve's Bayou type vibe, where like the
Mm,
supernatural is probably right out front your door, but the problems you're dealing with inside your home are probably of the earthly variety, right?
right.
And it's we're burying the lead real hard right now. We wanted to. Me and Che wanted to give people. We wanted to give people a full issue. This first issue was actually supposed to be the first two issues combined. It's supposed to be like a 96 page like one shot.
Okay.
Um, because I was afraid we couldn't sell the book without action. I was
Makes sense.
nervous, right?
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know what? conflict is action, man. These people,
Mm-hmm.
these folks are they're struggling. We don't need to necessarily throw hands just yet, right? And we decided to split things up, right, pretty much at the center line. We decided to give like maybe like a scene or two in one or two spots for each issue.
Mm-hmm.
But we we are really about to put things into fifth gear. We're about to
Mm-hmm.
really push things forward really fast. And I think that if people have been paying attention to the themes and how we're presenting them, it won't seem that out of left field.
Okay.
Um, but because every mouse tool we're presenting right now will be used later, I promise. It's just a secret one if you have not figured out its usage yet. But um, we're trying to do the ancestors proud with this one. I'm gonna put it like that.
I love
And
it.
the earth in the same process, because there was a lot of stuff done to us and the ground remembers.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
So, and we're going to tell that story.
Well, I'm gonna be here for it every issue. That sounds so exciting. I'm interested though. I've been curious about this ever since I found out about you and everything. Where did the name Crimson Sleeper Studios come from?
All right, that's another good question. You're asking some good questions today. So, Crimson Sleeper Studios. Crimson Sleeper is my Xbox Live gamer tag from back in the day. It is a persona
Xbox
that I've
Live.
yeah, it's a persona that I've slowly kind of groomed over time, but it's a little bit more than that. I didn't get it like it became my Xbox Live gamer tag after like my original moment that I got it, and that was
Okay.
at Quiz Bowl. So I was a big Quiz
Mm.
Bowl head in high school. Like really, like I was trying to be like D1 Quiz Bowl. It was a lot, and I was like, I'm gonna be really good at this. And I
Okay.
remember I was like eighth grade, like playing with the high schoolers. I thought I was doing real good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to represent. All right, because it was like custom ink just came out. You can get the specialty T-shirts made. So now like every high school wants to get a specialty T-shirt for their club,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I remember we got custom ink T-shirts. We were gonna put a nickname for everybody on the team on the back.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what, man, you gotta tell these folks what's up. All right, you need to let them know you are the Crimson Reaper. I was like, everybody's gonna be
That
shocked.
is cold. That is cold. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. I'm the Crimson Reaper. And I remember Lee Matthews. Lee was like I think a junior. He was a junior at the time. Yeah. Lee looks at me. He goes, Crimson Reaper. More like the Crimson Sleeper." Room laughs, right? But I'm like, nah, bro, y'all sleeping on me. No, this is kind of no, like I'm not done cooking yet. Y'all are sleeping on your boy.
Right.
And like the Crimson Sleeper was born that day. Y'all was hating, but I got a cool name out of it.
Now
And
who up?
exactly. So as I kept playing, as I kept gaming, I started getting into Overwatch. Right, I was an Overwatch coach. I was trying to go D1 at Overwatch at one point. Right, I was trying to be coach. I was trying to be big coach. Right, trying to go to the Overwatch League. I was trying to go to the Hey Blizzard, if you see this, I want you to know. All right, y'all messed up. Y'all messed up. Y'all missed out. All right, I want y'all to know. I was out here hooping. You can still go find those videos on YouTube, my boy. Wasn't nobody else trying to think about that game like that. I will be honest.
That is true.
But self gratification aside, right? Right, delusional old man unk status aside, right? I wouldn't have met Che without Crimson Super Studios, because I was using that as like my YouTube to make coaching content. It's how I ended up on the team that like they found me. They're like, bro, you can't just be coaching in gold. You actually care about this. Come coach our GM team. I was like, all right, cool. And like we started getting like scrims from like World Cup teams. We actually were kind of hooping for like a slight little bit. And like because of that, we were able to get on that org. And because of that, I was able to meet Che. So it's kind of crazy without this kind of Crimson Sleeper persona that I've kind of like been kind of like BSing this whole time. Right? It's me, man. I'm Crimson. Right? Like now it's actually kind of like it's birthed into something. And it feels cool that like, this has always been who Nerd Me is. The Crimson Sleeper has always been me. I get like my truest self, you know what I mean? Getting to play video games, getting to talk about nerd stuff. And like when I was saying, like, I want to be a professional nerd now, I want to write comic books. We got to get Crimson in on this, man. We got to get Crimson in on this.
That's so interesting. I think you're the second person I've had on here that's like had that kind of backstory of like you were given some type of name that was kind of meant to be somewhat derogatory, but you turned it into something to be more of a propulsion for you. And I find that type of like, I guess the best way to put it, character development, to be very intriguing and very inspiring because it's like, yeah, I mean, I was given this dope name at first where it's like, oh, I'm gonna be Crimson Reaper, and someone wanted to joke on me and make it seem like I'm not that guy. But I took that joke and made it into something that's like even better than what the original name was. So I love it.
Thank you, thank you. No, it means a lot, and it means I definitely was getting a little bit. I was getting some looks, some side eyes, definitely when I was younger. Everybody's like, "Man,
I
what is wrong with this dude? Who is Crimson?" Like,
They
so
didn't
it
see the
feels
vision.
no, not at all. I had a lot of people didn't get it, but it feels cool to like it feels cool to eventually develop that confidence in yourself and know that like you
Hmm.
get it, and that's all that
Yeah,
matters.
that is true. So a few more questions, and I'm gonna let you go, Mark. This has been fun. I have enjoyed this the entire time. It's been great. But I got to bring in another segment because this is one that I also started 2 weeks ago. It started as a trend on threads that I did, and I was like, let me do this on the podcast. What is your top three animated series?
Like favorite or quality?
Let's go favorite.
Okay, I would if I have time, I'll do favorite and quality. So favorite, I would go. I would say, favorite animated series is of all time. I definitely have to put. I'm trying to think about some of like the deep vault stuff when I was a kid that like I couldn't turn off, like the really really important stuff.
Right.
Can we bring movies into this? Like movies that like I couldn't stop watching if I was a kid. Can we
Yeah.
do that? Okay,
Yeah.
so we got to throw the Aristocats in here. I know that's a crazy out of left field, but
That is a good one.
I almost burnt that tape. Everybody,
I
everybody,
was listening to that song the other day.
everybody wants to be a cat. Yes, sir. I loved that movie. I wore the tape out, so I got to talk about the Aristocats.
Okay, I respect that.
Um,
That's a great
I,
start.
right? So I would say above the Aristocats, the Iron Giant. That movie crushed me as a kid. It was a very
Man.
big, pivotal moment. I was a child of divorce, so like I think I watched that one weekend right before I was about to go to like do the exchange with parent. So it was just
Right.
a very emotional type
Yeah.
vibe. But that movie is fantastic to this day. It made me love Superman for the first time. I was not a Superman lover as a kid, but
Mm.
if the Iron Giant likes, if he's inspired by Superman, he probably knows something I don't. Right. So love the Iron Giant.
Okay,
That's
two for
definitely
two,
number two.
so good right now.
Right. And then I would say that my favorite animated thing ever is Static Shock. I love Static to this day. To
Absolute
this
cinema.
day, I still watch Static. To this day, I mean, to this day, I'm
It
still
still
watching
holds
Static,
up
and it
so
got a
well.
grip on me. So those are my three. I would say my three favorites. Now, if I had
Okay.
to talk about my three bests, they're my three favorites. Like if I had to put on like my little like, okay, people are going to judge me. I have to have opinions. Number three is Yu Yu Hakusho. I love Yu Yu
Okay.
Hakusho. Like I was talking about, it's a big inspiration for me. It's my personal favorite anime probably of all time. If I had to
Okay.
neglect quality, but I don't like it. I wasn't going to put it on my three favorites list just because I was going to include it here. So Yu Yu Hakusho,
Mm.
absolutely incredible. Had to put that there. Number two, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I would argue
That's a good one.
some of the best three act storytelling you could probably see. I'm not a
I
big
would agree.
believer in three acts. I typically believe that most three act stories are really just four acts that don't have a clear midpoint.
Mm.
Um, that's not true with that one. I would argue because of the books and everything. Avatar is fantastic. It is just so, like that first. Like it's incredible. And don't get me wrong, I love Korra too. But as far as just like being like a well laced, like you could write, like you could make a class and
Yeah.
teach kids about this, Avatar is
Mhm.
up there. And I would argue that the only thing that is more worth teaching a class about than Avatar, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That
Everyone talks about
is
that.
a perfect masterpiece. Me and Che both have a very big affinity for Full Metal Alchemist. I would argue you probably could not get Full Metal like Full Metal Alchemist is definitely also a big inspiration for this book. You'll see
Hmm.
later. You're not going to see those inspirations yet. But
Okay.
once we get everything kind of fully figured out, you're going to definitely see the like philosophy definitely really drives the narrative here, just like it did in Full Metal Alchemist. And incredible brothers. Like, come on, man, they're just two brothers, bro. Like I love the metaphors about homunculi and what happens whenever we decide to let sin or evil corrupt us to
Mm,
the point of losing our humanity, right? Because it doesn't have to be a religious idea. It's an idea of corruptibility, right?
right.
Like I love that the homunculi represent these kind of hollowed out individuals that they facsimilate humanity, but they're not at all. Like they are
Mm,
very much the worst of us, and they drive us to do crazy things because they don't understand why we would ever bend towards good. They're hollow individuals, and that's what makes them what they are. I would think that that's one of the best metaphors we've gotten in fiction in the last like while. And
mm,
because the magic system is fantastic, like I'm gonna be honest, and then like it's also deeply Japanese too. Like the fact that everyone else has to draw transmutation circles, but then like Ed and Al, Ed to start and then Al later on gets to like do a clap, right?
mm.
And like the idea of like a clap being a moment of silence, like a moment of ma, like in Japanese culture. Like sometimes you just need to
Okay.
like there's like a like this like ma is essentially like the moment in between a clap.
Okay.
So like there's like a wind up to it where you have to
Right.
pre-plan everything and there's silence, right?
Mm.
It's like silence having a purpose. That's the idea of
I like
ma
that.
here. So like it's like he has to and then figure like it's like he has to center himself, take a
Yeah.
moment of silence and then breathe life into what he wants to make. It's such a it's something I don't see a lot of people talk about sometimes. I wonder if I'm just kind of like reaching, but it's something I love a lot about it. And like, yeah, so like if I had to say, yeah, that's one of the best things I think ever made animated for
Wow.
sure.
Well, I would have to say that most of the anime community agrees with you. I'm relatively new to the anime community, so I have not seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood yet. It is on my watch list. Everyone raves about it. I literally haven't heard anyone say anything bad about it. So
It's really good,
that
especially
says a lot.
Brotherhood. Brotherhood is really good. Now, don't get me wrong, the original Full Metal Alchemist is also worth watching. I watched
Okay.
that first, but it's like you watch that first, they take their deviations from the source material, and then you watch Brotherhood, and you're like, oh, there's just no filler in this at all. This feels
Mm.
like we're just full steam ahead and we can just tell the full story. So definitely worth the watch. Definitely quality, and also they got some good. They be boxing, bro. They be
Oh,
boxing. It's not Jujutsu Kaisen nowadays. Now, there's a different level of box
yeah.
nowadays. They're boxing. They are outside
Yeah.
boxing in Jujutsu Kaisen. I watched
Yeah.
that with some homies the
JJK
other
is
day.
insane.
Yeah, I watched it with some homies the first time the other day, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I see why y'all talk about this. This is
Yeah.
y'all just want to watch a Mike Tyson fight. That's what this is. Like this is what, like, bro. Turn the
Yeah.
lights down. Turn the lights down. Where the popcorn? Like,
Yeah. I
we
had
gotta put some money on
never
this.
never got through an anime outside of Solo Leveling the way I did JJK. I didn't watch it until like 2 months before season three started, and was able to finish season three when it ended.
Oh yeah.
That's how
Oh,
fast I went
that's
through it.
that's awesome though. That means you got to what week to week the last couple ones.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It was
A good
insane.
decision. A good
Oh
decision.
yeah, for sure. So I'll say final two questions, and then I'm gonna let you go, Mark. One question for you about Crimson Sleeper Studios. What else are you working on outside of Scion? Or is there anything else that you're working outside of Scion?
So that is it's a tough question. It's a tough question just because I do have some scripts prepared. I'm getting some pitches ready. I obviously want to expand upon Scion at one point, but it's also about capacity.
Right.
It takes a long time sometimes to get an indie book out. And
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact that we are having some really good success on the Kickstarter right now, Che has a full time job. We want to make sure that he is getting a full amount of time to be able to really, put his foot into the artwork, and he
Right.
always does. He always does. But it's about making sure that I'm giving enough time to my children, if that makes sense. Like right now,
Yeah.
I'm a single child parent, right?
Okay.
I can put all of my time into Scion. The second that I start having, like, I'm thinking about having another kid, right? And like I can already hear Scion in the crib, wham, like, take care of me, Dad. So it's like I want to make sure that I'm being respectful towards what I already have out here and for available for people to take in. That
Right.
being said, though, we have a bunch of stuff in the drafts, and specifically, I talked about. I can give a little bit because I talked about this with Dalibor before. Um, right now, especially if someone's listening, if you are an artist, specifically a woman, because I need a woman for this project, I refuse to do it with a man.
Okay.
I have a project that it involves five principal characters that are women, that are leads, and only one that's a male. And it's
Mm.
very much a story inspired by my childhood because I was in a single parent household. I was raised by my mom, my nana, and my gram. And it's kind of like a story of like what does it look like to be like raised by Wonder Woman, right?
Mm.
Or like to have like a Wonder Woman like figure in your life, like to have these really
Okay.
powerful women in your life, and you have to figure out how to be a strong man besides such powerful Titan like figures, and
Yeah.
like how to like make sure that you're navigating masculinity correctly, all of that stuff. I would say artwork wise, it's really inspired by Art Nouveau,
Mm.
and specifically like Art Nouveau, then Art Nouveau era moving into Art Deco. Like the prompt I give for like the theme is like it's like if an Art Nouveau good time was getting ruined by Art Deco.
Okay.
It's like all like the curves and like the beauty for nature is being kind of ruined by like the jaggedness and the golden light of like the
Mm.
Art Deco era and all of its industriousness and whatnot. So it's very much kind of inspired by that time period, but it's very personal, very much based off of again things happening in my own personal life. But it's something that I want to be a very big piece to accompany Scion. It's not in the same universe, but
Okay.
it would be like a 1-2 punch for us to have those two offerings. So if you are a woman who fits within that style, bonus points if you're a black woman. If you're a black woman, that's a done deal.
Yeah.
Probably if the artwork's banging, yeah, that's a done deal. But
Do
yeah,
you
like
want a
you want to.
recommendation?
I would love a recommendation.
I don't know. I have to double check just to be sure. Ryan Oakley.
Oh, I love Ryan Oakley's artwork. If Ryan would ever, Ryan, if you're watching this, if you would ever like to do work together, I would jump at the opportunity. Even if I understand if you don't have the capacity for interiors, even if it's just a cover, because I do
Oh
think
yeah.
that her artwork does lend. She'd be able to understand what that style is like, real easy.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Ryan, definitely. If you're down, if you want to get a pitch out someplace, let me know. I'm definitely down. Because that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So before we end out with the last question, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of talk about your Kickstarter. It funded within 25 hours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Insane. It's currently at 5,000 with the 2,000 goal. So it's well over goal, over 137 backers. You have, as of the time of we're recording, 16 days to go. By the time this goes up, it'll be maybe a little bit over 10 days at minimum. But yeah, well, like what are some things that people can expect to get by backing your Kickstarter?
So, just to give a little overview, Scion issue 2 is out right now. It picks up right where Scion issue 2 left off. We are actually featuring the Battle of the Bands for this issue, which is a very important part of HBCU life. If you did not know,
Mm-hmm.
we care more about the halftime show than we care about the game. And we are
Facts.
getting to showcase what that type of that kind of sacred experience is like at an
Mm-hmm.
HBCU halftime show. It's not just filigree either. We're very much making this a part of the story. And we actually get to do a cameo because I'm from Jackson State, right? We got the Sonic Boom of the South for our band, but my mom and my grandma are from Louisiana with the HBCUs there, and my grandmother went to Grambling. So Southern has been a boogeyman in my household my entire life. What do you mean your band is called the Human Jukebox, right? That is, and then they're right. And then they have the nerve to be right. If anything, they're being modest. Like, come on,
Right.
man. Like what? That's like it's just standing on business, bro. And like
Mm-hmm.
we're getting to do an homage to them. Gibbs Green, the college in our story, they're actually going to be playing against Coastal University instead of Southern University, and they will
Okay.
be having the fight in the Battle of the Bands, the Human Sound Machine. So we're kind of
Mm,
we're getting an homage there that way, so that way
I
people can
like it.
understand. I want to tell people about the best band in the world. And this is our way to kind
Mm-hmm.
of pay an homage to them. So really excited about this, and like you said, we have well exceeded our goal. Thank goodness. It's been an amazing turnout. I'm going to be honest, it's well more than what we did for the first issue, which feels great. And because of that, we have a bunch of stretch goals. I believe we have 6 stretch goals accomplished and counting. We're going to keep adding them for each 500 we bring in. We're going to keep bringing up a stretch goal. And well, we got a bunch of stuff. We got a bunch of stuff for the stretch goals. We got some prints. We've got some trading cards. We've got some enamel pins. We've got some coffee, some artisanal coffee to give you a smell of Jackson with your order. Um,
Nice.
yeah. We're gonna get you some Southern roast with these orders. So we're doing well, and we have a lot more stuff planned. I'll actually give a little bit of a bite there too. If we can get past the coffee section, we're gonna do laser engraved coasters. We're gonna do some
Ooh.
coasters with some of the folks within the issue. Some artwork's gonna be put on a coaster. So we've got some fun stuff planned. We, like you said, we're about halfway, a little bit, almost halfway through, about 16 days left. So there's plenty of time to join the fun. And we have a lot more stuff planned because we sent out some PR boxes to some of the influencers out here. So hopefully we'll get to see some unboxing soon enough. And yeah, just get to kind of show off some of the stuff that's kind of like created this world. It's kind of like me and Jad, my girlfriend, who's our editor for our story. We both kind of said we wanted to kind of give people a bit of Jackson in a box. So
I like that.
yeah,
It makes it much more immersive. Is the best way I can think of it. So
yeah.
I
No,
like that.
thank you.
So final question. I always like to end off with a good question to kind of help other people. And I decided, you know what? Why do the prototypical? What would you give an advice to people who wants to make comments like that's boring? I've been doing that for over a year. I'm tired of doing that question. I have a better question. What would you tell someone who is unsure of whether the idea that they have should be made into a comic?
I would say be confident in the fact that Hollywood can adapt anything into a story if they have enough confidence in it, enough
Mm,
money to produce it, and enough
mm,
people to make it serious. Because you have to feel serious about the draft for it to become serious. Now, we could talk about talent and things like that all day, but I do think that there are a lot of resources that people can do to better themselves. Even if it's just like the artist's way. Now, I wouldn't recommend it, but I know a lot of people who do, like Dochi. So there's a lot of resources, even at probably your local library, that you could be utilizing to do this. And I think that if you have an idea for a story and you're not sure, go
mm,
read. Go read in and around where that genre is. See if other people have already done it yet. If they haven't, or if they even have, take notes. See what you could do differently. Maybe your
mm,
idea will spread and will
mm,
give you something that you will be able to put into a comic book. Because I'm in a very fortunate situation in that regard. A lot of people say don't publish the first thing you wrote. I did. I'm very fortunate that the fact that I was able to workshop this story over like a multi-year period into something that was worth publishing. That means I think you can too. But
mm,
understand that it is something you do within the span of years, not something you do within the span of weeks.
mm.
So and you might be faster than me. Maybe faster than me. All that means is that you should double and triple check your work faster than I did. Don't think that that means you should just turn it in quickly. Um, so workshop the idea, make it good enough for a comic book
Mm.
because
I like that.
you can.
Yeah, yeah. That is great advice. So if you have been playing with the idea of turning your story or your IP idea into a comic, Mark just gave you the advice. Workshop it, keep working on it, and then I mean, honestly, I feel like you can turn pretty much anything into a comic. Comics are basically still movies or still TV series. So I think you can turn basically anything into a comic. So that's great. Mark, again, this has been fun. You're a great person to talk to. You're a wealth of knowledge. Um, Tell the people where they can find you, follow you, and get more of your work.
So you can find me on pretty much all socials at Crimson Sleeper Studios. We you can find our work currently right now live on Kickstarter. If you just type in Scion, we should pop up Psion. Wrong side. This one right here, like there we go.
Nice.
Pop the wrong collar. So you can find us on Kickstarter. That's probably the best place to come right now because your support will get you a bunch of free goodies and discounts on a lot of our stuff. But we also do have an online Shopify store. If you pretty much Google Crimson Sleeper Studios, it will be one of the first things that pop up. And we're also available on the TikTok shop. So if you are a TikTok shop buyer, you actually can just buy from us right there. We typically have a little bit better. I think that they give you a little bit of a discount on shipping. So if you
Mhm.
want to pay about $1.50 less on shipping, you can get it done there. So we're pretty much available. If you Google us, you should be able to find us. And yeah, we're out here. If you want us, and we got that for you.
Nice. All the links to Crimson Sleeper Studios, whether it be social media, Shopify, all that stuff is going to be below. Kickstarter will also be below, so go check it out. Go back it. You have at minimum 2 weeks left to back this Kickstarter and get. If you're like me and you haven't read the book yet, you can get both books from this Kickstarter and then just become a fan of the series going forward. So, highly recommend it. Mark, again, thank you for coming on here. This has been fun. Everyone, go read Scion, go back Scion on Kickstarter. Again, my name is Gary. This has been the Divergent Comics podcast. You all have a great weekend.